grinding 2 years of my life away for fun. No, not for fun, but it is fun. So, yeah, today is episode 9.4, week 9, day 4 of my 2 year grind. It is going swimmingly well. We're just talking about lessons learned and what it's like to grind your face off, which is great. I'm having a good hair day. I woke up like that. Holy buckets. Good for me. I need a haircut though. I'm getting a little. I think I had a haircut scheduled yesterday and I didn't make it. So sorry to my barber. Yeah, so we are doing a super death grind. It is going really well. I am on a dopamine detox right now, so I'm not doing any social media aside from business stuff. I love it. It's super freeing. Social media is such a time suck. If we go, let's see here. If I just open up my screen time, can be transparent with you guys. So it says my daily screen time average is 6 hours 53 minutes. I'm down 15% from last week. Going to see all activity. It says I'm on 11 hours. Is this? Is this? This is weekly. Let me go daily. Um, well, that's just today. How do I go back a day? Thursday, October 22nd. I don't want to go a week back. So it says I'm at 9 hours and 33 minutes. This is last show today. What? Wednesday. Yes. Okay. Wednesday. So it says I'm 7 hours, 11 minutes of screen time. It says 2 hours and 3 minutes of social networking, 2 hours of entertainment, 1 hour, 4 minutes games. So it's considering messaging, social networking. So you can see right there, that's my screen time. So messaging, YouTube, Call of Duty, and some SoundCloud on there. So no social media on there. YouTube, I mostly listen for, various subjects I'm researching, finance, real estate, um, motivational, educational videos, and things like that. So I text a lot for work. So that's probably why I'm on there so much. Next week, I'm going to go no phone. I'm going to get a flip phone and switch to that. So that'll be cool. So dopamine detoxing, off the caffeine right now. So I'm 100% caffeine free, except for I take a quad shot decaf Americano in the morning, which my findings would suggest has anywhere from 6 to 12 milligrams of caffeine in there. So not much at all. And aside from that, mostly just drinking water, which I need some right now. And I'm also doing some diet soda with no caffeine. So diet mug and diet caffeine free Coca-Cola. I was first introduced to diet caffeine free Coke when I dated a Mormon girl in high school. So shout out to the Mormons for no caffeine. So yeah, that's going really well. I feel really good mentally. I feel really clear. I'm not sure if it's a combination of a lot of things or mostly the caffeine, but I mentioned yesterday my eyesight's just really sharp, really vivid. I have no energy lag levels. I was trying to stay up later. I'm doing polyphasic sleeping too, so I sleep. I have a core sleep at night, and sometimes I do some naps. But last night I was trying to stay up a little later than normal, but I don't think I made it. I don't know, past 9. I was trying to stay up till 10:30 so I could extend my hours a little later and wake up, anywhere from 2 to 4 to spend more time with my wife and kids. My kids typically go to bed around 9. All of them should be in bed about 9, so I have an hour with my wife at night. But I fell asleep a little early. But we just have one kid in town. A couple of them are at their grandparents, so it's really good. We got to spend special time with our youngest. He's an amazing, chubby little ball of death and destruction, but he's sweet. I love him. So it was really good. So yeah, The death grind is going really well. My energy levels with no caffeine are really consistent. So one thing I've noticed and I've stated is that usually when I have caffeine, I get that like I want to run through walls type energy, but it's fleeting and fading. And though I would have crashes on caffeine, they're not like, like, pick me up off the ground type crashes. But now I just have no crashes and my energy level is pretty constant. So today I don't feel as mentally sharp, and that could be because I ate a god awful amount of food last night. I had a bunch of wings and pizza and some popcorn. No sugar though, but it was good. It was delicious. I don't regret it at all. So today, briefly, I just wanted to talk about. I know like procrastination is a buzzword, and I cut my finger, so I wrapped it with tape and a paper towel so I wouldn't bleed on everything. Cut it on some scissors, opening some business cards. So I know procrastination is like a buzzword and all that stuff, and how not to procrastinate, blah 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 blah. So I like to rephrase that to a get stuff done. Use your imagination. A GSD, get stuff done mentality, and usually I will say the sh word because it's warranted. So how do you get stuff done? Well, I think a lot of things in life come from a decision. You make a decision, you enact that decision. One day you wake up and you say enough is enough. And until that day comes, you're not going to change. Until you've had enough of something, until you've decided to make a decision where something has to change for the betterment of your life, you will not make that change. So a lot of this boils down to the self mental speak we have in our own heads. So mine is always, if you can do it now, do it now. Don't wait till later. Period. Get stuff done. And that's how you get stuff done. If you need to say order business cards, someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, can I get business cards done?" And you have 5 to 10 minutes to design them and send them off to print. Do it right now. Why wait? So I live my life by a lot of rules internally, and I classify thing with Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants of importance of items and actions, and I try to live in the first quadrant and you know delegate and or put on lists the things that fall into those other 3 categories, or be cognizant of always trying to be in that first quadrant because that's where the magic of life happens. So I have rules, like if I'm in the middle of a project and like I can kind of pull away from that project for a second, and someone comes to me with a task that I have to do that I can't delegate, and it takes me 2 minutes or less, I do it right then. And that's just how I live my life. If it takes me longer than 2 minutes, I try to delegate it, and if I can't delegate it, I put it on a list. And that's basically how I live my life with every task that's given to me. So I don't commit anything to memory, not because I have a particularly poor memory, but because I don't want to commit things to memory to take up mind space. Because if you're always operating in a space and you're like, "Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that," right? Those mind monkeys they're going to get to you, and you are not going to operate at the highest level of capacity you can operate if you're hyper focused on a task. I think multitasking is straight garbage. We were taught that growing up, in high school and college, or at least I was. Multitasking is, I'm looking for multitaskers. Put it on your resume. Are you a multitasker? Let's find multitaskers. That's garbage. You need to be hyper focused on the task at hand. Because if you're multitasking, what does that mean? You're dividing your attention. When you divide your attention, something lacks. You can't give 100% of your attention to something, or you should give 100% of your attention to something. And if you give 50% of it, well, you're 50% somewhere else. And this 50% thing that you should be concentrating your time on is now garbage. So you got to hyper focus on something with brief bouts of breaking that up to go over here and to come back over here. And you hyper focus, hyper focus, hyper focus, come back to the task at hand. So I always look at that when someone gives me a task, I just live by a set of rules. Am I in something so integral that I can't get away from? If I can, is it going to take me 2 minutes or less to do it right now? If it takes me 2 minutes or longer, delegate it. Who do I have at my disposal that works with me that I can say, "Hey, can you do this task for me?" Go. Right? 10-second text. "Hey, I got this thing that's in your list. Blah, 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 blah. Done. Forget about it. Let me know when it's done. Beautiful. If it takes me longer than 2 minutes and I have to do it, I put it on one of my lists. So I live basically by 4 lists. I have my A list, which is I have to do today or someone dies. I have my tomorrow list where I have to, that tomorrow list then becomes my A list today where I have to do it or someone dies. I have my this week list, which is I have to do it sometime this week. And then I have my next week list to put it on the radar for next week. And then, obviously I transfer a lot of those tasks to different lists, to different people for delegation. So I just don't commit things to memory. And beyond that, right, living by a set of rules for no procrastination to get stuff done, it is entirely a mentality. So a good example is I'm walking into my house and I see, of all things, because I have children, a bowl or a fork on the ground on my deck. Got a bunch of stuff in my hands. What do? Do I tell myself, I'll get it tomorrow, I'll get it later? Yeah, I think that, and I walk by that fork, but then what do I do? In my mind, I'm like, no, you get stuff done and you do it right now. You don't wait. So I dump the stuff inside, or I finagle my way down with, my hands full of stuff and pick up the fork and bring it inside. I get stuff done. And it's that little action and that constant reminder that you always get stuff done and you don't wait to do things that propels you to do other things in life, because it is entirely a mindset and a mentality. So when you constantly apply that mindset of I always get stuff done and I don't wait to do things, and you apply it to the fine details of life, the forks on the ground, the bowls on the ground, the stuff you should vacuum up, the crumbs you see on the counter, you don't say, I'm going to wait and do that later. No, you say, I'm going to do it right now because I have time. It's going to take me 10 seconds. I'm going to do it right now. And once you constantly apply this self-speak, this mindset, this internal dialogue, and you always rephrase it and reframe it to say, I get stuff done. I'm going to do it right now. It carries through in other walks of life, whether it be, doing something for your spouse or doing something for your kid, or, cleaning the garage, which I need to do again, which I constantly have to do because I have kids. But it's one of those things where you constantly always do this self-speak. The things you tell yourself, your internal dialogue is huge. And I don't know why people don't preach on this more, because it's not just about the processes. Because inherently, I could tell you, if you want to lose weight, you need to eat less than you burn. Done. I'm out. We out. Problem solved. America's fixed. Obesity epidemic is no more. But it's not that simple. It's not about just doing the processes, and it's not even about trying the processes. So I'm going to try to count my calories, right? No, it is about the internal dialogue solely. We can all pretty much tell when we've had too much to eat, and we can all pretty much tell when we're still hungry and starving a little bit. And starving never killed anyone over the long term. A little bit. Not a lot. I'm saying when you don't eat for 30 days, yeah, it's an issue. When you don't eat for 24 hours, no biggie. Unless you have, other issues going on. But by and large, for the majority of the population, you cannot eat for 24 hours. So a lot of this is the mindset. If you tell yourself, I am in need of losing weight, I will eat less than I burn every day. And I'm going to be cognizant of that. Just because I could finish this sandwich doesn't mean I'm going to. It's not mean I'm wasteful. I'm going to save that sandwich. I'm going to wrap it in cellophane or whatever and put it in the fridge. But it's the self-speak you constantly tell yourself in your own head. And further that, it's the actions you output into the world. It's all your internal dialogue. And this pertains most specifically to getting stuff done and not procrastinating. If you do not want to procrastinate, you need to take that self-speak and constantly say, yeah, I don't procrastinate, I get stuff done. If I have something to do, I do it right away. And there's no questions about that. It's just what I do. It's part of me, right? If you're a nice person, you're probably nice in your own head. Wow, this person looks good today. Maybe you don't say it, but you think that in your head. Wow, these butterflies look beautiful today. If you're a kind person, if you're a generous person, it's just part of who you are, and it's part of your internal dialogue. And I don't think anyone can fake that on the long term. We've all met fake nice people and their true colors come out, but that's because they don't have the internal dialogue that their outwardly dialogue preaches or dictates. It all starts with the internal dialogue. So once you make that internal dialogue your own and you live by that, then now you can set up these processes and systems to help you solidify how you actually enact in real life. So it all starts with the self-speak and the internal dialogues. So most specifically talking about getting stuff done. You have to start by saying, I'm a person who does not procrastinate. I'm a person who always does stuff. And if there's something to do, I do it now and I don't wait until later. If I can wait until later, it's because of a timing issue, not because of a laziness issue. So that's basically it. You just got to start with the internal dialogue and make a decision. And then the processes support the internal dialogue and the initial decision. It's not the other way around. You don't start with the processes. You don't start by counting calories and then hoping for the end result. You start with the internal dialogue and the decision, and then you build your processes around your internal dialogue and decision. That's the way it should work. That's the way the human mind has to work. When you start processes first, you don't yet have that foundation, the bedrock, the cornerstone of the internal dialogue, which is everything. Everything in life, if you want to move the needle a certain direction, you have to start based on a decision and based on your internal dialogue. End of discussion. Anyone who says otherwise, I don't believe you. You're a liar. You're a charlatan. Get out of town. I had an example here I was going to think of. Yes. So not necessarily an example, but this was kind of a segue thought of mine. So in my youths, I've been very lazy. And most of the time I was lazy just about stuff I wasn't passionate about. So for a long time, I wasn't passionate about my health. I just didn't care, right? I was eating microwave burritos by the dozen and just being a lazy effer. Just mostly because I didn't care, because I wasn't passionate about it. And I truthfully don't know. Hold on. I truthfully don't know when that passion did happen or what sparked it. I have hypotheses about it, perhaps, but not entirely sure. But and I was also lazy in school, and I was lazy in school, but I got good grades, and I relied heavily on my intellect. Right? I mean, school's a joke just in general, right? They give you 2 weeks to do a project that you could do in 2 hours, and what inherently happens? Necessity creates action. So when you say, "Oh, this is going to take me 2 hours," what do? You wait till 2 hours before it's due. School's a joke, right? We should be making way more projects or putting harsher timelines on things or just being realistic about things. So don't get me started about school. But necessity creates action, and action is predicated on necessity. Keep that in your mind for future reference. So what I found is that laziness actually serves me quite well, also coupled with hard work, because what that laziness always made me do is I would say, what is the most efficient way to get this done? Gave me that engineer's mindset. How do I deconstruct the problem, figure out the most efficient manners possible? Let me ask myself what the real problem is and what am I ultimately trying to get done, and how do I create systems and processes and rebuild this for the most efficient manner possible. And I apply this to almost everything in life. If you see me put away the dishes, it looks like a ballet dance because I hate putting away dishes. Hate's a strong word, but it's the right word. But I will open cabinets and move in such an efficient manner that it takes me a really short amount of time. And I'm just like crushing it when I put away dishes. And I open cabinets because, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to put plates up here. I'm going to have to put bowls up here. And I'm going to pull out the fork drawer because I know forks are going in. I have a whole process I do when I put away dishes for efficiency's sake. And it's just like I'm over here, I pick stuff up and I take 2 back steps this way over here and a step over here to put something away. And then I'm back over here. Like I just think about efficiency quite often. And efficiency is something that just gets me. I don't, maybe I'm blessed that way. I don't know. But it all stemmed from laziness, because laziness always begs the question of, well, I don't really want to do this, but if I am going to do it, how do I have to expend the least amount of energy possible to do it in the most effective way, taking up as little energy as possible and with as little time dedicated as possible? And that's what efficiency does. And that's what laziness can breed. So laziness, I think, is not necessarily a negative thing. What it encourages you to do, if you have some sort of intelligence, is to be efficient. And efficiency coupled with hard work is a beautiful thing. So I would argue that someone who is lazy is just not passionate about something. That's the way it is. Am I passionate about putting dishes away? Absolutely not. Am I passionate about putting laundry away? No, I can't think of a worse thing in life. I'd rather, have a tooth pulled than put laundry away for whatever reason. But so if someone calls you lazy or something, you can probably just tell yourself, I'm not passionate about this thing. And that's fine. You just, there's certain things in life you can't be passionate about, but there are necessary evils like putting your dishes away or doing laundry, brushing your teeth, taking a shower for some. I don't know. I take cold showers. I like cold showers. But it's different for everybody. And, a lot of times I think people like Gary Vee get it wrong where they're just cramming hard work. Like Gary Vee was born out of the womb, slinging things on eBay, being an entrepreneur, and he'll say it's in his DNA. So if you follow the advice of someone like Gary Vee, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to be successful in the long term for 99% of the population because you didn't come out of the womb an immigrant hard worker that was ready to crush the world no matter what you were given. That's just Gary Vee, and you need to realize who you are. And truthfully, it works for some of the population some of the time for a certain duration of the time. But if you want to be, a one percenter, and I hate to say stuff like that because it's not about money, but things in life like, if you look at you're passionate about music and you want to be the best musician possible and you want to be in the 1% of musicians who actually make it, you're going to have to do certain things and you're going to have to go certain places. So, don't get down on yourself that you're lazy. You're probably just not passionate about things. And you either need to have a serious conversation with yourself about passion and realize maybe you are passionate about it and you should be giving it more effort. Or what you need to do is get out of that space and focus your attentions elsewhere to where you are passionate. So don't get caught up in, people call you lazy, you feel lazy or whatever. You haven't realized your potential yet because you haven't realized your passion yet. If you're not doing something you are not passionate about, you will fail. I promise you. You may have mediocre success, but you won't be successful because part of my success equation includes ultimate happiness. If you are not happy, you are not successful. End of story. Money's an entirely different topic. So that's it for today because I'm getting on in time.